ever so slightly. Again, with that ultimate and the volcanic rupture, Letme's doing well to sort of fend off the pressure, but it is still only a minor advantage for the LPL.
Yeah, and Letme just knows, as long as he's staying fairly healthy, he can't get fully all in, he can always walk out from the trade, so he has picked up biscuits for himself just to get even more sustain, and we keep saying, you know, this clock here, his job is still just to survive. Uzi should get that turret to bot lane.
Yeah, he also picked up the early Bramble Vest to try and cut down on that Vampiric Scepter sustain from Khan we talked about earlier, but we're gonna have to check back in here around the dragon, because Trevor, you talked about it earlier on. It's an Infernal Drake, and that is going to draw a lot more attention back down to this bottom side, where the bottom turret for Kingzone is extremely weak.
Yeah, so this should just be all RNG favored. Khan's TP is on cooldown. It was used earlier. Letme's is ready. He saved it. So you can go 5 members bot lane, get a turret, plus an Infernal Drake. This could be a huge moment for RNG just 1 minute from now.
Gentlemen, I thought RNG were the defensive way to late game team. They've got all this potential to get ahead early, and then I want to see what they do with it. Trinity Force, by the way, was picked up by BDD and Casa, sniffing all the objectives, as Official and Kobe have just talked about, maybe setting up for a play. Thank you for the vision toggle observers, as Ming is going to clear out this control board and set up the siege on this bottom outer turret.
Yeah, there are still more options for Letme to try and teleport down to the bottom lane if they want to force this. Karsa is being patient here. Predator not activated yet, and they actually show themselves and move up with the minions.
All right, Tower not going to be threatened just yet. Uzi steps forward, but not going to get enough autos down. In actual fact, it will live for a little while longer.
We're so close here. Kingzone should not have any answer because Khan can't leave his top lane fast enough compared to Letme. Casa knows this, so he's just taking control of the river. But if Kingzone can outplay this one, it's a huge defensive move. Yeah,
you can see, actually, Ornn has stopped on your mini-map. It looks like they were scouting positions for possible teleports to use. Now he's continuing his route back up to topside, but this teetering turret is just about to collapse.
Look at the mini-map. Nearly everybody's making their way down for RNG. Letme's even backed away from the top turret, waiting to throw that teleport down. Just a slight breeze will knock this tower over, but RNG cannot get close enough.
No, they're not fully committing. They could have had multiple members with this minion wave and just give that tower a few hits, but they keep keeping the river control, and Uzi's actually going back now, so they're gonna wait even longer, and this does buy a bit more time for Khan and his TP.
Yeah, his teleport coming up in a couple more minion waves. Uzi uses his now to the bottom side, out of vision of the rest of Kingzone, but Prey as well, sticking around.
Saw the number there. With the lead at 15 minutes, RNG currently undefeated. They've still got that 1,000 gold advantage. And even when behind, they do fairly well. Of course, Fnatic unable to close out games in the semi-final. Casa, Flash will be available very soon, 15 seconds before that is up. And a number of RNG pings.
Let's go,
on the map. Come on, Uzi just steps forward, finally takes the tower down. But is there enough control elsewhere on the map? Casa's now looking for BDD, manages to throw out that ultimate. And as he's dancing on the edge of safety, will still threaten and survive what could have been a 1v2 there.
Really smart Vanguard's edge there from BDD. Meanwhile, Uzi got his first turret in the bottom lane. Infernal Drake should be next, but meanwhile, Khan, he's going for the all-in.
All right, I've seen this before, gentlemen. It's not the most exciting of endings. So what else should we be looking at, Kobe?
Well, I like that you talk about seeing it before there, Trevor, because he goes for these big trades, then he tries to heal up off the minion waves. Those trades, though, are going to be more and more impactful. As Division was alluding to, the more items that this viewer starts to stack up, the more Letme is going to have to play defensively.
All right, there's Letme using a defensive Ornn ultimate, even a True Shot Barrage to potentially help out as well. But the wave was cleared, Letme survives, and RNG initiate Dragon. There's no one nearby from Kingzone.
Yeah, even with seeing that ultimate used, it seems like they want to jump through this window because they have got the recall from BDD in the mid lane.
So we get everything we wanted. We wanted the bot lane turret for RNG. We wanted them to get Infernal Drake. Took a little longer than we expected. Meanwhile, top lane, Peanut, he can now tower dive.
Remember, there's no ultimate from Letme. He just used it. The volcanic rupture comes up as the first Drake is secured. Whoa! Here comes Xiaohu. I didn't see him coming in, but is it just another slam to the slaughter? Peanut is tanking up, takes a couple extra tower shots, manages to survive one last one. Kingzone get 2, but will they get out? Parsons looking for an opportunity, there's no backup.
Yeah, Peanut waiting on the cooldown there for Arctic Assault. He should be able to get over the edge, but there's your 4th teleport to Vicio. Gorilla swaps it over with Spellbook and joins the bottom, the bot. Oh, here we go in mid lane now. They might actually fend him off the turret.
Okay, so Kingzone, all 3 kills go to BDD. RNG get the 3 first objectives. Tower, First Blood, and First Dragon. And look how much damage they've done to that mid outer.
Yeah, it's so huge for Kingzone that RNG was so slow when it came to killing that bot lane turret and the Drake. Because it bought them more and more time to get levels and items and coordinate their own tower dive. Big thing.
You can just feel the tempo of this game accelerating. Take a look at this replay brought to you by Ace of Predator.
So they know, bottom side, that's where all of the RNG members are currently sitting, except for Let Me and maybe Xiaohu. So when they set up the dive with the 4-man, there's nothing these 2 tanks can do to defend.
Yeah, and Xiaohu's ultimate arriving actually procs the riposte there, and they get the stun onto Ornn, finishing him off. 4 members, though, for Kingzone, pretty happy about that one, taking down the top turret. That being said, RNG are still the ones with the gold lead.
And they have the A to carry on 2 items, who's trying to steal a red buff, just failed. Now, though, Kingzone have gotten far enough into the game that they can start going into side lanes with Irelia as well. 3-0 on his side. The 2 tanks on RNG, Cyan and Ornn, they can't kill them 1v1. They have to just accept that they're going to get pushed down. So it's up to RNG to force the team fights as 5.
Division, I think there's a little bit of beauty in that. The LCK team playing the 1-3-1 comp, the LPL team playing the team fight comp. You go back years, 1,106 days since the Korean squad has been taken out.
I'm getting real tired of hearing that number.
I'm allowed once per 2 games, and that's my limitation. But it is interesting, and you can see Khan, he's already putting a lot of pressure on this bottom tower.
He definitely is. And you can see RNG, they want to use this big power discrepancy between the 2-item Ezreal, Muramana transformed here, versus Caitlyn's weakest point. There's no Infinity Edge completed for Prey. He's just trying to scrape together a little bit more money for RNG. Double buff Ezreal here, trying to utilize it.
And later, the answer against split push is often just go to Baron. Go 5-man at that Baron, the split pushers have to come to you, and then you can turn and team fight them. But that's just spawned now, and it still is very early to start it, so there is more time for Kingzone to keep controlling the side lane. Khan should at least get that bot lane tier 1.
Yeah, it's good you bring that up, because there are multiple very long-range tools. Yeah, well done, Deficio.
Thank you, my friend.
I don't have a very high expectation of your delivery, but you're definitely meeting it. The super long range engagements, as we saw, Cyan can head down the river. Let Me would start off with the Ornn ultimate. As we talked about, that allows Karsa on the Skarner to choose his target so much easier.
A little nerve-wracking. As soon as we hit 20 minutes, we have this pause now. I will give you guys an update as soon as I know why. But let's talk about this map play. We just saw Khan shoving down that bottom, the swap already playing out. If Kingzone are able to run circles around RNG, I know Baron is one objective, but do they just throw themselves at a tower? Do they just initiate under an inner mid or inner top, force Kingzone's hands?
At some point, you have to.
Got it.
If you go too far into the game and you haven't been able to get a Baron and therefore a giant gold lead and taken most of the turrets, you will look at the side lane split pushes and feel like there's nothing you can do. The other answer is send 3-man to try and kill them, but there's 4 TPs on Kingzone. They can match that.
What do you prefer 40 minutes plus? The tanks on RNG side or the split push damage dealers on the other? I know we've discussed the strengths and weaknesses of each, but what do you prefer, Kobe?
The strengths and weaknesses are going to be in how the map is laid out. What is the battlefield? Who gets to choose the battlefield? Is it going to be the hard engage from the 5v5 team, or are Kingzone going to be able to slowly chip away at your turrets and up their gold lead to the 10,000 mark, where you can't even then have enough crowd control and damage to finish that one off? I prefer, actually, the 5v5 because it's much easier for me, and it's much easier to coordinate my teams usually.
Yeah, it is for our teams, but this is LCK and Kingzone. They can coordinate. Just an update, gentlemen. It is a PC-related problem on the side of uzi, which our technical refs are looking into right now. We'll give you guys an update as I hear more.
It brings up this question, though, because if, Kingzone split up into their 1-3-1, we have the Fiora on top side, the Irelia on bottom side, we have Gorilla trying to protect praise Caitlyn in the mid lane and farm up and continue to scale. Is the Unbreakable from Braum going to be enough to deny that tower dive, deny that hard engage, to decide to force it and break the split?
Yeah, seeing as there will be a Predator Skarner, a Cyan ult, and the Ornn, it should not be enough. And that's one of the fascinating things about 1-3-1 comps, is how much it's just about a balance between all three lanes. If you see Ornn is missing and Cyan is missing from the side lanes, Kingstone will know, okay, they're coming mid. They will communicate, guys, back away from the mid lane. If they fail that, suddenly the tower dive will happen, and that's 2 to 3 kills for RNG, and then the split push stops immediately. So the amount of communication you need between lanes, it is so hard to execute, and only a team like Kingstone can actually pull it off.
It also begs the question, if the team with the Ornn, with the Skarner, with the Cyan hesitates after grouping mid, then you lose. You're constantly losing money out in the side lanes and constantly losing map pressure, and that's where you end up with the situations where they get run around the map and feel helpless.
And that concerns me a little bit, because I feel like we have already seen RNG hesitate when it came to getting that bot lane turret and the Drake on the bottom side. They could have done that much faster. Kasa also ended up using that flash ult on Irelia in mid with the full tank sign. So they weren't like pushing it really quickly, which actually has bought more time to Kingston than I expected.
Got it. Just a quick update as well. Is a technical issue on the side of Prey, not uzi, as I misspoke earlier. Let's dive a little deeper into the mindset, Deficio, because you said RNG hesitated. They were playing very safe, very risk-averse around that bottom tower. Do you think it was too risk-averse? Do you think it was nerves? Theory spitball for me. I know I'm asking you to project, but how would you interpret those few minutes of play?
There is a chance they're saying, hey, watch out for roam.
Like, you don't want to throw either, right?
Yeah, you don't want to like go all in for it and then double TP behind you, and you're like, oh, okay, now we just lost everything on the side. It could also be them saying, we got plenty of time, guys. Like, our late game, massive front line plus Uzi on a double tier Ezreal, we're good. We don't need to rush anything down. There could be multiple things going on with it. I just want to see if they can actually, the next 5-6 minutes, avoid losing too many side lane turrets.
Got it.
Because they have the group as 5 comp, and it's on them to initiate that. Kingstone will split the map forever if they can.
Exactly, 20 minutes, almost on the dot here. That's where the swing turns for these two compositions. Very excited for the next 5 to 10 minutes.
I am too. Unfortunately, we are not going to get to gameplay just yet. Gentlemen, I do apologize about the delay, but we're going to head to the analyst desk while we're resolving the matter on stage.
Thank you very much, Quick Shot. A small technical issue on stage. While they sort that out, we get some time to talk about this game one here in our MSI final. 20 minutes in, as the caster said, it's almost a nice little midway point for us to start talking about things exactly as they have broken down. Let's start with Champion Select here. We talked about Irelia at the top of the day. Is it an OP pick? Both of these teams are the only two teams to have pulled it out in their semifinal, and this time around, Kingstone seemed to get it.
And with the conversation, we were talking about some sort of counter to Irelia. Now, I'm not going to say that Sion is the counter to Irelia, but you can see what the thought process is behind this champion, taking into someone who does have kill pressure. But the real pick for me was the Janna. We've seen Irelia repeatedly get massive backline access, and when you have an Ezreal and a Janna, yes, Irelia is still going to be diving back, trying to pop Uzi, but it gets that much harder, and we'll see if Janna truly is the answer to Irelia.
And I think Sion Janna is a really fun thing to talk about because they were taking it at the same time. The big story there is Sion, endure the Irelia. Don't get killed like the Talia was a couple of days ago. Endure, whereas the Janna is double down on Uzi, pushing the turret. I saw the Janna and I thought, oh boy, 9-minute turret, 10-minute turret's going to be early. The fact that Kingzone could delay the turret take to 16 minutes for Trinity Force and other items to come through on Irelia and the top lane was really big for them.
Yeah, and I also think this is a cool draft because it simplifies the game. You have two tank solo laners to basically make your only lane of focus down bottom because the tank should be self-sufficient. And then the question becomes, how quickly can they get the turret? The answer was around 15 or 16 minutes, which isn't particularly fast, because I think from a simplification perspective on Kingzone's side, having the Fiora and Irelia, your two melee divers, that's all about how quickly can you get them to the point where they can kill the tanks in a side.
Isn't it nice when all of our prep comes to fruition?
Yeah.
In terms of the way that the teams decide to play game one, you've got Kingzone focusing that top side of the map, utilizing the soul laners, whereas for RNG, it's all about that bottom side.
But my issue with the RNG draft, and why I actually wait towards Kingzone draft, is because if they they don't have the damage threats. You know, if Ezreal ever messes up, if he goes down, yeah, you have the Janna to help amplify it, but usually when RNG run a composition like that, they still have something like a Vladimir, you know, some other late game insurance policy. Whereas on the side of Kingzone, if you take down the Caitlyn, you're still dealing with the possible Aurelia and Fiora. If you get the Aurelia, you still got the Fiora. So it's just so many different ways to attack it.
Let's take a look at how the chips fell within the game. There was some discussion around the junglers as both teams have sub options, but it's Karsa versus Peanut here in game one. Taking a look at these early jungle invades and the way that these two players are choosing to interact with each other.
Right, and I think the fact that RNG has lane priority early with the Xion shoving in the Ezreal Janna bottom makes it very easy for them to counter the blue buff. And then I feel like Peanut actually gets pretty greedy because he tries to take it back despite not actually having the map pressure, and this is a pretty easy collapse for RNG to make. This is what they want to have happen with their composition.
Aurelia's only just getting to mid lane. Fiora's not interested in coming. That was definitely the wrong time. He thought it was a free trade, but certainly anything but.
And when I was talking about win conditions for RNG, I did talk about that river priority, the ability to rotate first. It happened on the top side, but I also want to touch on the Aurelia solo kill. The reason why I think that was so important is because then ultimately Xiaohu could no longer walk into the bottom side river because Aurelia already showcased that she can kill that Sion, and then in tandem with Peanut's tower defense, with Aurelia denying any sort of bot lane river access, suddenly Uzi and Ming are playing on the back foot, and it's delaying that tower fall, which delays the RNG snowball. And like Papa's saying, now there's a Trinity Force in the game.
Right, that's the thing we asked Sion not to do if RNG was going to come out on head. Of course, then we take that advantage to the top lane where Kingzone executes this dive, but we have some criticism for RNG perhaps.
You have to feel like the call for Let Me is stay in lane, I'm coming, and that call would have been coming from Xiaohu, but the timing of Peanut popping in really undid this for RNG.
Yeah, the double TP is what really turns it. You could argue that one TP, it still could have been a failed dive since it's Peanut tanking the turret the whole time and they had a bunch of time to kill him under the turret. That was definitely RNG overreaching, and I do think there are some nerves on both sides. We saw the misplay from Peanut with the invade where he really shouldn't have been there, and then opting into what looked like a 2v3 ended up being a 2v4 is not really a great choice under any circumstances, but in their heads they're thinking, I'm going to make the big play and keep us in the game.
7 teleports when we saw the spellbook switch over, and this is not the spellbook meta we had right at the start of the year, where you could just swap in the late game. Most of these people are committing to teleports, so it's a play-by-play caster's nightmare, because keeping track of those teleports is so hard.
But I also think it's an RNG nightmare. Yes, we did get a lot of experience exactly playing on that type of a map, but you just saw it right there. You know, Xiaohu making the call, not thinking about the teleports. And then likewise, if we say that Kingzone are, as Jat said the other day, a pressure-oriented team, playing with multiple teleports, playing with side lane access, versus RNG who want to group up, who want to use their hard C, force these team fights, I just think there are so many more weapons that Kingzone have on the map to split this up and dissect RNG.
All right, well, with that, both teams were given permission to talk during the pause. I'm being told that the issue seems to be approaching a resolved state, in which case we will be closely, or rather soon, going into game. So with that, quick shot, dive right back in.
Thank you very much. I intend to with the help of Kobe and Official.
All right, approaching a resolved state, aka fixed.
Oh, that's definitely what I'm hoping for. BDD finds himself under some pressure as 4 members of RNG look to run him down. First kill of the finals to Uzi.
So just before the pause, we talked about some of the different answers to split push comms. One of them was, why don't you just send a bunch of members to the one lane and kill the split pusher? In this case here, there was no TPs to try and match it, and the guy died way too fast, so RNG picks up a very easy kill, and now they can look back towards mid lane and Baron area.
Sounds like some classic Korean advice. Why not just kill them, Deficio?
With multiple players, send your friends with you. It's a team game here in League of Legends.
All right, team game indeed. And RNG are looking to play as a team to fend off the 1-3-1. Khan manages to take a charge to the face from Letme's, really using that Ravenous Hydra, pushing this wave as hard and as fast as possible. There's a tower trade scenario on the cards.
And this is kind of the force that we were talking about before, possible from RNG. So you see Kingzone, they cede the extra territory here. Turret does go down. That's number 2 for RNG. Only 1 outer left standing for Kingzone.
Interesting to note that Uzi went for fairly early QSS in this game here, obviously respecting the fact that it can be a long-range stun from Aurelia or, of course, Sejuani landing onto him. And as long as he survives the initial engage, if we get a 5-on-5, Ming's ulti should be huge at knocking away all these different bruisers, and then Uzi can actually kill them, because they're gonna be fairly squishy, but they have a lot of upfront damage.
Yeah, one thing I definitely like doing as well when you're facing a Janna is killing the Janna first. and she is a very squishy target, whereas Ezreal, a lot of outs. Here we go, though, another look at BDD, using the minions here to gain some distance. He's got 4 members chasing him, though. As Deficio said, it's a team game.
It's a team game, and if BDD had looked at his minimap, he would have noticed that his mid lane wasn't there. They weren't pushing, so he couldn't actually stay in that side lane, and he did. That's why he got punished. RNG picks up what I consider a very free kill.
Oh, absolutely the case, and that allows Uzi to get to the 10K gold mark at 21:44. You can see how much quicker that is than the tournament average, and that's going to allow him to get closer to this fully stacked tier number 2 build. By the way, I think while we were in that replay, that bottom tower fell. Khan eventually got his target. And obviously now for RNG, it's a defense game. How long can they hold on to their remaining outer base turrets?
And will they be able to pick someone off again? Because it's a very interesting point. When people talk about a pressure-based game or a pressure-based comp, well, it's not going to have to wait long, actually. They sent a lot of people down bottom this time. But you have to always watch the rest of the map. Last time, there was nothing happening elsewhere for Kingzone. So yes, as Deficio said, the death was fairly free. But if you look at the map this time, while Khan is delaying them, Aurelia's at a turret. So Kingzone this time around, they have multiple points of pressure, and the balance is taking its toll.
Look at the team game, Kobe. Kingzone pushing top and middle, managing to get interrupted, face planting from Xiaohu. Call of the Forge Guard comes down, and the Bronze Shield interrupts it. First target's going to be Corilla. Look at Prey, BDD and Peanut now running for their lives. Glacial Prison will slow it down. Royal never give up as Uzi Arcane shifts over the wall.
Oh, they want more, and that's a pass as well.
Oh, this is very, very difficult to deal with. I do have some information that the players are reporting some problems. Obviously, we take those reports extremely seriously, and the QA team backstage are reviewing all of the footage, what the players can see, what the PCs are telling them. It's why we had that extended pause before. We're going to look into it once more.
Great run here from RNG. After taking the kill down bottom, they would just try and scrape Kingzone off of their turrets, pass through mid, able to get the extra kill here, and finish up on top side.
The amount of engage on their side allows them to get 1 kill and then rush together as 5 after, and because you have insane range with it, like an Ornal, that despite getting blocked, still slows the Braum down, allows them to catch up.
That allows them to go headfirst into the wall.
Hey, Xiao didn't need that ulti. He made that very clear from the start.
It's about sending a message,
yes,
right?
That wall was in his way.
The rest of my team, they got this. I'm just going to make sure they step up their game. By the way, just an update for this specific pause. I believe it is Ming reporting something wrong with his client. If he's investigating that, it should only be a few minutes, hopefully before we get back into game.
And it's a very, very big moment in the game for RNG because they killed the bot lane split pusher and Khan. They've already shut down Gorilla, looking like they're going to get more kills as they're already going around the wall here, about to attack the rest of Kingzone. If they can get maybe 1 more kill, that's an early Baron for RNG, and that's how you get all the outer turrets.
Exactly. We are 23.5 minutes into this game. Baron is a very viable objective. Then you have to start counting all those teleports, though. Khan, even though he's dead, and Gorilla, even though he's dead, both have theirs available. And BDD, currently alive, has a few seconds left on his. So Kingzone still might have some recourse if RNG decide to force it, but you still want to force anyway to draw out more of those cooldowns and then keep track of them.
Well, we actually have a replay of that passage of play, including the face plant where Xiaohu just forgot to turn left. But talk me through the rest of this.
Yeah, so we get the long range engage, and notice while Gorilla can block and not get knocked up, it still slows around him. So he will get caught by the rest of the team, and now they can just chase Kingzone. And nice action by Xiaohu to again apply another slow. Uzi's gonna come around the wall, and this is when the pulse is gonna hit. But at this point here, Kingzone should know they've messed up, and RNG should get more kills.
They should. Of course, Uzi's going to be waiting in the wings to try and cut off any stragglers. The question I have for you, gentlemen, is this an appropriate response from RNG because they lost a lot of tower HP in the top and mid towers? If this keeps happening again and again and again, you know, who's going to have a pressure break first?
Yeah, so we check back in on who's favored at the moment. I think that the seesaw here is tilted towards RNG at this moment because they have stayed ahead of the curve as far as the pressure that Kingzone have been able to apply. And we saw it here with the chase, getting them off of the turrets so quickly. You can tell by the gold lead here, they're very happy with the game state, rolling ahead, forcing these fights, all the tanks basically creating space for Uzi to just run wild on the Ezreal.
Yeah, 100% agree. Also also the fact they killed both side laners, first Irelia, then they went down and killed Khan right after, and he actually used his flash, so he has to be a little bit more careful as well once he returns. It is really big for RNG. Poor Prey, he wants to just be a carry, but he's been relegated to defend his own turret. He's only on 2 items as Caitlyn. He can't really fight properly yet, so this is all RNG favored.
It is RNG favored. We're going to jump straight back into the game and into the action. The referees have determined that we will play on. And by the way, BDD dashed through everything, used that ultimate to escape. The pressure's not done yet because Karsa is looking to jump in, looking for a stun with the help of that fracture. Now continues to chase forward. BDD getting hammering. Teleport's coming in. First victims fall on both sides as Prey drops immediately after. Khan completes a teleport only to find himself in the face of 4 RNG members. He falls thereafter. Peanut is the next target. RNG are tower diving and they get 4.
And the tanks reign supreme. Ming channels a full Janna ultimate there, healing them up, and they only drop 1. Now that Baron is on the table, they even got one of those extra teleports off of the score.
RNG played that so well. It all started with killing Khan in the bot lane, rush mid, catch out Kingzone, and then set up a beautiful tower dive. Can't even return and died again.
Unbelievable. The Baron is doing a lot of damage to the single TPS members of RNG, and Gorilla's face alone scares RNG away.
Gorilla chases them off of the Baron here. The other members have survived, or have revived, and teleports were ready for BDD and Prey to come as well. But let's go way back to the beginning here.
Yeah, this is the engage once again that slows down Gorilla and Prey. Suddenly they get caught here by RNG. All 5 members are screaming, go, go, go. We can catch them, we can kill them. Xiao who flashed in, I think it was his Randuin's Omen he flashed in and used to get another form of crowd control. And while BDD does buy a bit of time, Uzi and the rest of RNG can tower dive.
Yeah, BDD dashes in, then uses his flash over the large portion of the wall. But tanks full steam ahead. They're gonna go for the dive here. And look at the tower aggro. Never mind, let's look at the Dragon Pit.
Luckily, we got to see that fight on a broadcast. Prey has no flash available. Kingzone on trap, and Uzi gets a double kill. 5-0-3. Got Archangel's completed, and RNG just peeled back the Baron.
Yeah, now you can go for the Baron here. Kingzone, you cannot fight here. You're completely split on the map. Their 1-3-1 composition cannot stop the engagers. There's so many big tanks, and they want to keep fighting. BDD, time to be a hero.
Let's see what he can do. Got the ultimate available to him. No flash if he wants to get into the pit, and Peanut's coming in from behind. Blast Cone has already been dealt with.
Ming is trying to run interference here on the Janna, and now they turn up BDD.
Oh man, BDD gets a lot of dashes before yet another kill lands in Uzi's coffers.
Peanut is on the other side of the wall here. Should not have vision in the Baron pit. Ming will just try and hurricane him. They get the Baron here. It takes some time with the tanks, but they got it. RNG in full control.
Now they need to answer the split push. The Baron empowered recalls are going to get them back to base, and they burn Xiaohu's teleport to stop him in his tracks.
Another impressive engage. They win the fight, they start the Baron. Kingzone's 1-3-1. It's never allowed to just sit and split push. It's always fights in favor of RNG. Like, this is just all 5 members grouped again. Because you look at the side lanes, no one is putting pressure. They don't have to be afraid of it. Kingzone overstep and get punished.
Oh yeah, dream scenario for RNG. They didn't have to deal with any of the side pressure. They were able to find the stragglers in the river. Easy ultimate there for Karsa, and they take him down.
And this should now mean a bunch of the outer turrets fall as well. RNG, once they have pushed Kingzone down towards their base, the split pushers can't do anything. They're forced to fight their way out. Okay, Dragon.
Yeah, Dragon making it clear that RNG have secured it. Of course, looking at the stats on your screen, RNG and Kingzone's kill-to-death ratio in 4v4 fights. Nearly 2 on the side of RNG, and they've already won several team fights. On the flip side, Kingzone slightly lower, slightly less effective in that place, but with Baron, RNG, they've got themselves a tower already.
Look at the minimap. Prey split pushing at the moment on this Caitlyn here. He's not here to defend, but Kingzone have no wave clear. RNG are pushing straight for the inhib.
How deep are they going to go? We saw Evos make this mistake of pushing straight into the base and then getting flanked from all sides. RNG will not make the same mistake though. They go and just cut their losses right there, take the inhibitor, and retreat to defend.
Oh, they might be able to catch Prey. Look at Kase. He did not recall. He's running straight for him. Predator is not available, but he will get close enough.
All right, let's take a look. He's got that exoskeleton available to him. Impale's there as well. Prey, no flash available to him.
You better
He's
Prey
making
now!
mid-range. Casa steps into place, brings him back with the Impale. Despite the searing charge not finding the target, Prey gets run down. Kingzone are behind 7,000 gold. Down 8 kills, 2 dragons, a tower, and an inhibitor. And RNG are poised to take game 1 in this best of 5.
Yeah, we do not want to see RNG slow down now. They still got a minute on the Baron buff. They've killed the mid lane in it. Get all these out of turret. And if Kingzone try and defend, get ready to tower dive. The lack of QSS on the side of Prey means that they can always flash in and grab him with Casa.
They can be more and more reckless with their dives now too, because they are such rich men and they have so many tanks with hard CC that they can just tower dive and force it.
Let's see what Kingzone can do. Of course, Aurelia does exceptionally well into all of these shield users, and nearly every single champion on the side of RNG has a shield available to them. But will he get enough time? Prey takes a mystic shot to the face and is chunked down. Inhibitor number 2 falls, and Kingzone, they're looking for a re-engage. Teleport is available for Letme if he wants to join the fight. He's not going to get it just yet.
We get it reset now. 2 inhib fallen. Peanut will not be able to stop any sort of recalls here. If you are Kingzone, either you go for the most crazy split push game of all time, or you have to try and win a 5 versus 5, down almost 10,000 gold against a team fight comp.
That's why people always caution against the lack of fallback patterns for a composition like this. It's very hard when you're down to remount a pressure game, to start pushing out the side lanes, because it's so much easier for RNG to catch you and stop any one of those lanes of pushing before you even get started.
And if we're looking at that potential big team fight that Kingzone needs, I have to look at Ming on the Janna. We mentioned it earlier, Kobe, you highlighted kill the Janna first. She can't protect. That is one strategy for them. But if Ming is very quick on his ulti, and he gets to knock Khan and BDD back out of the fight once the initial engage happens, then Kingzone should simply not have the damage to kill Uzi.
So much execution then on the side of Kingzone. They may not get an opportunity because RNG with Baron are still barreling down. Correction, Banner empowered minion. Baron buff has worn off. They've got supers in the top and the middle. And look at Uzi, he goes over the wall only to flash back out. All of the traps are already dealt with, and RNG are not giving Kingzone a chance. Backwards edge comes bound. There's a bit of disarmament, but simply not enough. A multi-man stun from BDD's bought some time, but nobody is even touched. RNG are destroying, dismantling, deconstructing Kingzone, and as Kingzone run for their lives, Uzi goes godlike, takes down the inhibitor turret, and turns his attention to the Nexus turret.
And RNG will be able to take first Nexus in this series!
RNG are destroying Kingzone's base. There is nothing left standing as Khan and Prey run for their lives. Some fan service to the LPL and to China, trying to pick up kills inside the fountain. Not gonna do it just yet. The Nexus will fall, and RNG are 1-0 up.
Perfect start for RNG. They select blue side. They first pick Ezreal for Uzi. He wins his bottom lane. Meanwhile, on the other side, Irelia, Fiora, Kingzone are looking at this draft saying, yes, BDD and Khan, they can carry. But the moment they walked into a side lane, 3 tanks started a fight, and RNG won every single one of them.
So important here for RNG to get this victory, saying we don't have to play your game. We don't have to opt into carry versus carry matchups. Tanks will do just fine.
I'm gonna call back to the pre-show where a bold statement was made. A question was posed by Dash. What's more likely, a Kingzone 3-0 or an RNG 3-0? And Frosk had the response,
Can I answer
RNG, and they would have to play out of their mind. Was that not RNG playing out of their mind? The response to the 1-3-1 was flawless and it ended the game.
Yeah, the moment we got past 20 minutes, it was like RNG said, okay, now we know we can just force plays left and right to kill the split pushers, and they force in the mid lane.
You have to change the story when you see the team compositions drafted, as we said in the Champion Select, when they have an early spiking AD carry and plenty of tanks to work with.
They absolutely did, and RNG crushed game 1. To find out exactly how they did it, let's head down to the State Farm Analyst Desk.
Thank you very much. Quick shot. They've got one, but if they want a 3-0, they got to put 2 more together here back to back. A huge win for RNG here over the LCK representatives. Before we dive back into gameplay, I do want to re-hit the win conditions as we laid them out for these squads at the top of the day, starting with RNG. Oh.
Wow, I was so excited and screaming that I decided to put it back up. No, a reminder, it was the bot lane river priority because you want to isolate Uzi in that 1v1. Make sure that he denies the enemy CS. It was then Uzi on a hyper-scaling champion. Ezreal fits right into that pocket right now with the double tier build. And then it was the hard engage because once Uzi is online, you need something like the Ornn to force the team fights. And they checked every single box and ran away with the game.
Now on the flip side for Kingzone.
It was a 2 out of 3. That was kind of the issue here, is that obviously you like the Fury into Ornn. It's actually a matchup that takes a long time to get going. You kind of need the second item. Ravenous Hydra, we saw so many times. Full all in, everything, all the vitals procced. Still not able to kill the Ornn. That's the frustration there. They also, when it came to the bot lane, I like what they did. If you're going to give up Ezreal, my kind of prediction was going to be TP Caitlyn, maybe even a TP Ashe, and just trying to match the pressure. Stay in lane as much as possible. You're not going to get any ganks. You've got the matching. The problem came when it came to mid-jungle. You'd say, okay, the Irelia came through, it was getting kills, that's great. The Sejuani was a reach already. We haven't seen Sejuani jungle with any priority this tournament. And the big problem they had is that when we saw them getting advantages in the side lanes, that was with the laning phase still going. When the laning phase ended, Peanut couldn't invade his Sejuani and get vision because he doesn't have a combat advantage. And because Peanut was on more of that team fight pick, they never checked all the boxes. They got caught once, twice, game was over.
And I think both teams tried to play towards the win conditions that you both laid out before this, and they also both tried to counter the other team's win condition. Caitlyn was not a pick to try and crush the Ezreal. It was a pick to try and withstand the Ezreal. And then also the Sion and the Ornn was an attempt to withstand the split push pressure game that Kingzone could output. And because they withstood that with the collapses before the Fiora would be able to outscale the tanks, and because Uzi hit his 10K gold at 21 minutes and 44 seconds, which was a minute and a half faster than his own average, which is the fastest, he got so much farm. They hit their spike faster, and then they just rammed it home.
Now, that said, that's a lot of technical win conditions. I do want to talk about something that's an X factor, and it's this word momentum. I feel like whenever analyst casters, they talk about momentum, then it's like, of course, everyone knows about momentum, but no, I want to set the record straight. It means so much more for Uzi in particular. This guy repeatedly has talked about how his own emotions get in his way, how the doubt creeps in, so many second place finishes, and that he is constantly fighting his own emotions for victory. This must be just a massive high to grab the Ezreal, to go legendary in his game, and to pick up the first win.
Made all that much more impressive by the team fight victory that came 24 minutes into the game for RNG, as Ming was the one who suffered the client issue. You'll even see it here in this game, stalling out in the river for just a moment, but coming up big in the team fight overall.
It's really important to note that they had just killed Fiora in the bottom lane and were collapsing up to match the pressure of Kingzone, which Kingzone was trying to create. Picking Gorilla once, and also seeing the Kingzone wasn't necessarily retreating at the right point, emboldened RNG for this game.
And I love that Jat talked about item timing. So at this point, Ezreal has that famous 2-item spike with the Muramana, the Trinity Force going into those early items, the Sheen upgrade. Meanwhile, Kingzone, they need time to get items to split, not to 5v5. So in this formation with the tanks leading, it's free hitting for RNG.
And I love this dive. There's no one that can actually disrupt the Janna ultimate well. So look how long he sits on that full channel level 11 Monsoon heal. Because they have the armor stacking Sion as well, who expertly takes about 15 turret shots, it makes this dive easy.
And RNG had to win right here because they needed to snowball into the Baron. Otherwise, they were going to lose complete control of the map as Kingzone's carries would come online and be able to split it up. But time and time again, Kingzone have shown that all you need to do to beat them is force them to fight you. When the Flash Flows would get their slight advantages against Kingzone, it was again in these skirmishes, in these team fights, and RNG are proving that they can force the same weakness.
That hard engage allowing RNG to take the fights when they want him, where they want him. And again, when you talk about momentum and morale, to have won this game and even fight through some of those technical difficulties, to me that speaks to the mindset that all these RNG players entered with. They are on a mission for an international title.
And you could see when Uzi was taking the stage, when they announced the teams, everyone was very solemn, very serious face, and he was all smiles. He outstretched his arm, he was clapping people's hands, he was going by. During the pause, he was in his zen, he was focused during game, but right there, just so attentive to the coach. He knows that this is his.
As of course, though, we've seen time and time again, a team with a lead that seems like it can't be toppled, throw something away in the late game. RNG doesn't let that happen this time around. They find one final fight right near the bot inhib of Kingzone. Kingzone taking a stab at it, but they come up just short.
And of course, this is an emergency fight. They have to fight at this point, otherwise their base will be taken down. BD dives in, is trying to occupy time and space, but look at those health bars from RNG. They're not even taking specs.
Yeah, tank wall. Basically, Uzi didn't have his flash, so he said, I'm just going to really stand close to all of the other
side of all of
Can't click on me next to the
They'll
giant.
never find me. And they ended up not even having a chance.
Look at that damage.
I do want to give credit to Ming right there, though. The fact that Uzi didn't have his flash because he went aggressively in and had to flash out, and then Ming gets the perfect ultimate in that fight to reset everything once BDD did try to make the dive, or maybe it was Fiora, into the backline. So Ming, the unsung hero here.
All right, a pretty gold graph for RNG here in Game 1, but I want to turn our attention to Game 2 as Kingzone has elected to stay on the red side.
Ooh.
No substitutions coming in, so the jungle matchup will remain the same. Give me your thoughts. How does Kingzone turn it around?
Okay, coming into the tournament, there were a few picks that had a weird spread between the two teams. This is now 8 Ornn picks for RNG and 0 Ornn picks for Kingzone. I think they can change their bans up. I don't think Kingzone needs to ban Karma or Kai'Sa on the blue side right now. They should not, in my opinion, give up the first pick Ezreal, and they should get rid of the Ornn early on.
I agree with that, but I want to push back a little bit. I feel like Kingzone looked at the Ezreal, they understood that let's be clear, Kingzone absolutely knew it was going to be a first pick Ezreal. They thought that they had the plan with the Caitlyn, and maybe they think the same thing for the Kai'Sa, but what is going on in the back of your head there if you thought, okay, we'll take the Caitlyn into the Ezreal, it'll be fine. Let's just give him Kai'Sa this time. Like, I think that's the same mistake, actually.
And it's just a really interesting scenario, because I kind of agree with Jat on specifically the point around the Karma, because on the red side, the Karma can be flexed so effectively. On the blue side, you're a bit more narrowed, so maybe that's the ban you drop. I want to see a more combative jungler. I want to see the pushing advantage rather than necessarily the skirmishing advantage. So away from, say, the Aurelia and onto more of the Talia and Olaf kind of school of thought.
A few thoughts ahead of Game 2. The results are in, and the region that showed the most regional pride during this year's MSI 2018 is Latin America North.
Wow.
Brazil in second and the CIS in third. Here you can see the full results around the globe. Just a moment, we'll fly those up. Come on, North America. And after MSI and players who own the icon of the winning region, the fandom battle, or the icon for the MSI champion will receive an upgraded team icon and a 3-day XP boost. We're stepping away. When we return, it's Game 2, where Kingzone hopes to even the score. Don't go anywhere.
Xiaohu motors in. First blood picked up by RNG. Oh, the stun manages to connect from BDD. Throws out the Vanguard. Dashes through with the Blade Surge. Flashes to safety. Teleports coming in. First victims fall on both sides as Prey drops immediately after. Khan completes a teleport only to find himself in the face of 4 RNG members. RNG are destroying, dismantling, deconstructing Kingzone. And as Kingzone run for their lives, Uzi goes godlike, takes down the inhibitor turret and turns his attention to the Nexus turret.
Predator, proud partner and official monitor provider.
And welcome back to Game 2 of Kingzone Dragon X versus Royal Never Give Up. Those of you who might feel the itch to compete with your own pre-made team, well, the time to put up or shut up is approaching as Clash is on the horizon.
What you want now? 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 When I cock that tone, run your damn Jones. Ran and lay you up in your own. Go, 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 go. Come on! Stay lopsided, bust they cross-sided in the subways. They rob trains running alongside it. We don't play for that shit. And if you want for shit, I got you. So keep acting like you don't know me to prove that. It's the perfect timing. You see the man shining. Final!
Don't feed.
캔입니다! Go! Come on! Go, go, go! Nautilus!
Victory!
The only thing that would make me more excited for Clash would be if you guys were on NA so I could smash you.
You know what? I'm going to restart my whole team to Pulsar Party, and we're going to win every single tournament, that's for sure.
I cannot wait to show
You're not on my team, Trevor.
If you're looking for more info on how to rightfully claim your glory, not their glory, check out the Clash landing page Incline and make sure your team's ready to go for the tournament start on May 25th. I absolutely love the cameo from Caster Jun. I hope the losing team got an unlucky. Let's turn our attention back to the MSI finals. It is game 2. There are no player substitutions. Kingzone have selected red side, so we basically go GG Re.
Kingzone should be taking Faker's advice from that little video as well. Yeah. Stop feeding, because that was definitely not the way they want to start this series out.
So let's see what they can change for this game here. Ezreal was the first pick for Uzi. They could ban that away. They have Karma, Vladimir, and Kai'Sa as the current bans on their side. The other option is give Ezreal once again, but this time play a roaming mid laner for BDD. Take a Talia, which was so powerful against Flash Rolls. If it is open, RNG can just ban it again, though.
Yeah, Kingzone were never able to get their 1-3-1 going, never able to get their pressure started. So it's going to have to change very early on in the setup.
Well, we are going to be jumping into the draft momentarily, and straight out the gate, gentlemen, there are no changes yet. Camille, Talia, Karma, Vladimir, the same 4 bans. Then it's Rakan and Kai'Sa to follow.
But also see if they want to just trade Ezreal for Kai'Sa, something the Flash Wolves did yesterday. Now the problem is, of course, Kai'Sa can still lose the laning phase if it is against an Ezreal, but it is an option if you want to build a very strong late game teamfight comp for Kingzone.
And of course, Kingzone, since they chose red, are still putting a very high value on the counter pick. Ezreal is going to be taken away this time, though.
Thus far, 100% the same until Varus lock in. So that is a significant change away And then, of course, the Irelia hopper and confirmation.
I've been screaming for Varus all tournament long. Some teams decided to play it early on in the group stage, but then it just disappeared completely. But this is because Kingston want to win bot lane. They're going to play around the Varus ulti at level 6 and try and see if they can shut down Uzi with it.
Exactly. Varus is such a good laner. He can build into Rageblade early. He brings crowd control from the bottom lane, allowing your solo laners to be those DPS users. And Irelia, as you said before, was locked in. So the instant answer here from RNG, ready to run it back.
There is sadly some issues for Varus. One of them is lack of mobility. On the other side, there's an Ornn again and a Skarner, so it's going to be tough for Prey to move around.
Wow, that's why he's picking the summoner spell Tahm Kench. Is going to be confirmed in phase 1. For the 9th time in 16 games, Let Me will play Ornn once more. We're now jumping into phase 2, and we're turning our attention to what mid laner Xiaohu wants to run.
It's interesting because, yeah, they want to have the Devourer for later for Varus to save him, but that means you're going to have Tahm Kench in lane as well, and RNG could very well go for another range support matchup. That's why Kingzone are starting to ban them out.
Yeah, and another smart thing about the Janna ban is if you're going to draft another split pusher for Khan, you end up having a lot of bruisers, and Janna can again disengage when the fight starts and they dash into her. If you remove her here, it might be easier for you to reach Uzi in the back line, but there should be other supports available for Ming to grab.
Yep, definitely still multiple ones. Karma, as you said, banned. Morgana is an option for them as well. Black Shield would definitely make it a little bit more mobile.
Could also see Lulu if they want to go all in on sticking to range supports on their side. Otherwise, you can just go Braum. Like, no one is going to kill you for that.
Well, we'll find out if anyone's going to try. Of course, with that Varus TK, there is some possibilities. The final bans, Sion from Kingzone Dragon X, as well as Olaf and Trundle. Peanuts, of course, in the last game ran that Sejuani. Mixed success, never got really a chance to shine. And our Kingzone likely going to lock in the jungler here once more.
Yeah, let's see if he goes for the same thing. It looks like, again, it's going to be Irelia, Sejuani, plus another melee bruiser up in the top lane for Khan. Sion here was the answer from Xiaohu against Irelia, but he got solo killed on it. It was just a point engage. Malzahar is there if he wants to grab it. I think it is a fine choice for him, except Tahm Kench ult can be very annoying as a Malzahar.
Yeah,
sorry, Devour.
Then you start to get into a scenario where you want to use your Devour on so many different hard CC abilities, so many different priorities that you get kind of confused. You only have one, and you're only going to be able to save one person. So it looks like RNG, pretty quick lock in there on that Morgana, are going to get the Black Shield and the possibility of those bindings from the bottom lane. Now, often what happens in the Tahm Kench lane is a lot of the deaths that you would see from, ganks and stuff on the bottom lane transfer from the AD carry to the Tahm Kench because your opponents are just going to focus well, catfish. Everyone likes calling him a frog, and I was about to call him a frog.
Good recovery.
But you always have a couple of people that are sticklers.
Yeah, there are quite a few, and they definitely like to yell. And Xiaohu's going to go back to sort of a comfort pick in that Galio. Some supportive can go top, bottom. It's another double tank comp on the side of RNG.
Yeah, it's another comp where protecting Uzi is going to be the big objective for them. Meanwhile, on Kingzone's side, we need to see if Khan wants to just grab the Cho'Gath, which he used yesterday very effectively, or if he goes for a different kind of split push. No, it is just a tank top lane. So a lot of big tanks in the front lines, but Kingzone's draft, if you consider the fact that it's an Irelia mid lane, that's going to be pretty tough to execute.
I think this is a good improvement for Kingzone. Cho'Gath has been the best tank for Khan. Because of the big true damage feast, he's still able to threaten the priority targets. He does it very well. His laning phase has also been the best for his tanks on the Cho'Gath, so I think he's comfortable on this one, even though, like you're saying, you're thinking there was going to be more one of those mobile melee damage threats.
I want to put some numbers to that. 3 wins, 0 losses on the Cho'Gath, and yesterday Khan on Cho'Gath out-damaged Prey on Ezreal in a professional MSI semi-final game. I think he's mobile enough when the target is flash-eatable, in which case Betty was yesterday.
It is very true, but this is an Ezreal with a Black Shield.
And it's Uzi's Ezreal.
And it's Uzi's Ezreal, gonna be hard to lock down. I'm just looking at the Kingzone draft and the Varus first rotation. That's a very big change for them, also compared to the tournament meta. And now they're still facing a double range setup with the Morgana here. If this Varus gets shut down early game and falls behind, I think this composition from Kingzone runs out of damage.
We're going to find out. One benefit, of course, on the Varus, the new Blighted Quiver, percentage HP. I casted European Masters a little while back, and they even built him AP to exemplify the burst damage. I only bring that up because there's a lot of tanks, there's a lot of HP to burn through on the side of RNG, so if we get long team fights, maybe Varus and those Quiver stacks can do some work. Come down to execution once again and positioning, whether or not Gorilla can keep his AD carry alive. Gentlemen, we're loading up onto the Rift. Peanut, I want to look at him again. The Sejuani didn't excite me. I was hoping to see a little bit more. Do you think the pivots now with the tank in the top lane will help or hinder the Sejuani pick a little more?
I think it's a very similar setup for them. Khan is definitely confident on this Cho'Gath as far as the lane phase, and you still can go for kills on these tanks very easily. You know, Sejuani up to the top side, they have a lot of abilities they could use to find that kill, but bottom side is actually where the action is.
Is indeed. Uzi and Ming going to get caught out. That's a flash already from Ming. Uzi forced to throw his down. Windsor Ball comes out, 3 flashes from Kingzone. They're looking for first blood, and it's found by Prey.
It's such a smart level 1 by sending Khan down to the bot lane brush. He sneaks in behind in case someone from RNG are in the river. Uzi had to just flash the first knock-up from Khan to actually get away, but the moment he got hit, he was going to die. Look here, they sneak down, they're not spotted, and the objective is to then walk in behind Uzi and Ming in case they're going in to ward around the blue buff or check in this river area. And it's 100% successful because Uzi does not get to flash instantly.
Yeah, a lot of the times you can use the early Skarner Spires as a little bit of bait there too if the teams are going to just run into the river and look for them. As you said, doesn't flash the Rupture, and the slow costs him his life. And
we always have to look at summoner spells used on the other side as well. 3 flashes and Ignite for a first blood. Big thing for Kingston was it was on to Prey, but Uzi's back here because it was so early. There's not going to be a massive difference between them.
Well, Prey spent the money already, got himself a pair of boots. They're going to help dodging those bindings. Playing a little bit more mobile in this lane. Uzi got himself those minion dematerializers to help keep that wave pushed and keep that forward percentage up that we talked about in the previous game. And now we settle into this laning phase. Those summoners sculpting down. It is a potential opportunity if the lanes play a little too far forward, a little too eager.
Yeah, we talked about the top lane a little bit, trying to set it up there, and that's where both the junglers are going to end their routes. So it's definitely possible if they want to punish Khan's lack of flash here on the Cho'Gath. You have no mobility, can't really get out yourself, and it looks like Karsa is here first.
Oh man, level 3 on Karsa. He's got that fracture available. Like Crystal Slashes, this should just be a matter of time. Khan gets run down. Who will pick up the
Venom times out.
It's now going to be, in fact, on Karsa. Let me backs away. And the last hit will go to Karsa. Reply kill RNG.
And that's the problem when you use the flashes level 1, but this was too easy for Karsa. There was no early vision being placed for Khan, and then he just gets ganked.
Could he teleport back in and have Peanut punished though?
Oh, maybe.
Now on the Sejuani, double buffs is ready.
Okay, teleport's going to complete for Khan. There's a gigantic minion wave in front, and Peanut thinking about it, fancying his chances.
Too many minions. Too many minions. Karsa is level 4 as well. Xiao and BDD trading in mid. We're going to see a lot of these trades here. BDD, once again, should not be able to die in this lane, but once he gets that sheen, once he gets the ulti, we've seen him all in and actually secure first single kills.
Yeah, I noticed that BDD has taken Cleanse this time around for his Summoner spell instead of the extra teleport for them, so he can get out of those taunts and be able to finish up one of the kills.
Small CS advantage for BDD. A couple of minions to clear out. It'll work out about the same for now. As it stands, laning phase will just continue to play itself out. Peanut already shown his face in the top lane, clearing out his jungle. No real threats just yet. And we've got ourselves an Infernal Drake as the first one once again, making that objective even spicier here in the finals.
Yeah, even though we have an Infernal Drake on the bottom half though, there's so many juicy targets up in the top triangle with all the flashes bone and all these 4 melee matchups in the top and mid lanes that you would expect there to be even more jungle action.
It's a very slow gank. Karsa is still sitting in the first top lane brush. Khan is going to push the lane.
And look, bottom lane, gentlemen. Peanut waltzed his way into lane. Uzi and Ming were very low. They've backed out. So plays and counter plays, because even Xiao Hu, he had roamed towards the top lane too.
Talked about this earlier with the Varus pick, but Karsa is still here. Khan is trying not to step forward. Karsa, we don't get to see if he's fully recalled just yet. He might still just be there. Could have canceled it and waited.
We're playing on Kingzone Vision for now. Of course, as we flick to full vision, the channel will complete. Yes, it does. Khan survives for now.
But this actually meant that, as you highlighted before, with Peanut going bot lane, Frey and Gorilla got to push a little bit. And when you early pick this Varus, as we highlighted before, you need to do well in the early game. You need to rush to that Rage Blade as fast as possible. And that's going to be a big thing for Kingzone if they can avoid giving up a first turret like last game.
Definitely true. The Rage Blade and the level 6 coming in, that's where Kingzone might decide to change their tactics.
A little while away from that for now. Prey shoving that wave forward pretty heavily, in fact, into Uzi and Ming. The fact that they got a little all-in a moment or two ago with Peanut showing face makes Uzi and Ming just think about their options. Uzi's down to 3 of those dematerializer stacks, and Kingzone, they've already farmed themselves up 500 gold lead, which is fairly impressive when you consider how early the game is. And they, of course, got that first blood bonus too.
Yeah, they got the push top lane right now. They've been controlling mid with BDD on this Irelia. Xiaohu knows that his job is to go with his teammates and make a play happen and not try and 1v1 the mid lane champion. So you get to see RNG just play fairly passive until Kasa decides to go to a lane. Bot lane is still going to be an option for them with double range.
Yeah, every time BDD clears that wave, you can see him just threatening to either side of the mid lane. So the vision and the warding around that Galio are going to be very important because of the range of his ultimate.
Okay, this time around for Kingzone, they don't have that clear 1-3-1 composition like we saw from game 1 in the series. Obviously with a tank in the top, let's see whether or not Casa goes for any opportunities. What are Kingzone going to be looking to play towards as this game plays out? They've got that more traditional front line, back line in terms of Varus sitting behind it.
I mean, they're still going to have the option to go to all 3 lanes because Cho'Gath is one of the better tanks in 1v1s, and they have the Irelia for BDD, but there is still enough engage from RNG to stop that. So I think Kingzone just said, okay, if they're going to drive so much engage, we need to have a comp that can actually fight them, and that's why they're going for the Cho'Gath top lane gank here.
Let's see, let me flashes to safety. Did not want to get body blocked, but summon a spell down. And what we've seen this game already, when top laners have no flash, they are juicy, juicy targets. Looks like a Gorilla and Prey who are pushing into Uzi and Ming.
Yeah, we have Karsa with Predator and Flash ultimate available on Skarner, sneaking into the bottom.
There's a cleanse for Gorilla. He instantly uses this one and will be able to escape with the flash. Now Karsa trying to put some damage down, but the summoner spell choice for Gorilla saving his life.
Oh, that was very aggressive from Kasa using flash ulti. Gorilla is fairly tanky here. Meanwhile, Peanut is on his way. BDD is moving as well. Remember, there's a Galio ult from RNG's side, but everyone is looking at each other in the bottom lane.
All right, no teleport from Khan. There is one for Let Me. In case